Okay,
Live,
we're
right?
live. We'll wait for some people to hop on here.
Yeah, I'm just kind of watching to see what's trending with
Yeah, we
Tucker.
should. Yeah, let's watch Twitter on this, even as we're doing the show here. See if there's any
Yeah,
updates on Twitter about it.
there's some people coming on.
Yep, there's people coming on.
All right.
Welcome. This is kind of a special edition of Wisconsin Right Now with Scarlett Johnson and me, Jim Pivovarchuk. Jessica cannot join us right now. She's currently working. She's teaching at the university. I know she has a lot to say about this issue, so I think what I think we've agreed to do is Scarlett and I will be discussing just kind of the breaking news. And then I think we'll do another show maybe tonight at 8 p.m. with Jessica so we can talk a little bit more about it. But again, for anyone that hasn't heard, huge news this morning among the news networks. Tucker Carlson is gone at Fox News, and Don Lemon is gone at CNN. Scarlett.
Wow. Yeah, I was just on Twitter doing my thing, doing some research, posting some stories about what's going on, the utter rot that's happening in Wisconsin schools and across the country. And suddenly popped up on my feed from Vicki McKenna that Tucker Carlson is out. And so I immediately responded. My tweet on there where I posted as the most recent speech that Tucker Carlson gave at Heritage Foundation's 50th anniversary celebration. And that's like just gone. That's been taking off on Twitter because everyone is just sort of, I'm still kind of in shock about this, that, you know, the biggest star on Fox News is gone. I mean, he's the reason why I watch Fox News, frankly. His show, I even subscribe to Fox Nation just to watch his specials. They're so good. And now I can cancel that. So that'll save me some money. But Tucker Carlson's going to be fine. I don't think Tucker Carlson does not need Fox News. Fox News, I think, does need Tucker Carlson. And I wonder what the situation will be for Fox News without Tucker Carlson. He is Fox News for me. He's been, I think everyone that's on the conservative right loves him. He's really been someone who tells the truth. He speaks really openly and honestly about what's happening in culture, and he will definitely be missed, but I expect to see great things from Tucker in other arenas.
You know, it's amazing what's going on at Fox News. I mean, last week we heard about Dan Bongino was gone, and then now today, yeah. I mean, just these are just huge stories affecting these networks. And if everyone watching, you have comments, we'll try to put up some comments. Just see what your thoughts are on it. Yeah, Robert says Fox News is doomed. I don't know that I disagree with that, Robert.
And I can add that I know for a fact that that this was totally not planned, because I have a friend who's a friend of the staffers for Tucker Carlson who handle the stories that he's going to put out. And the recent Sun Prairie story that we broke with Dan Lennington, I was pitching that to the Tucker Carlson team. And my friend said, hey, just this morning, send me everything that you have. I'm going to try to see if this is something that would appeal to Tucker Carlson. And so I was in the process of doing that when I got the news. So I know that as far as his staffers were concerned, he was going to go on the air tonight. So whatever happened, happened fast, and it happened this morning.
Reading a statement from Fox News that was issued, says Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. Mr. Carlson's last program was on Friday. Fox News Tonight will air live tonight at 8 p.m. Starting this evening as an interim show helming by rotation Fox News personalities till a new host is named. So it sounds like that this took both Carlson and Fox News by surprise, this development.
Yeah. Then you have another development that around the same time.
Yeah, and that's kind of, Scarlett, you and I talked about it. Is this just a coincidence, or is there something else at play here that arguably two of the biggest names in these networks are gone at the same time? Of course, we're talking about also announced this morning was that Don Lemon of CNN had been fired. And it sounds like that was done without his knowledge that it was even coming. I'll put up his statement right here. He issued that this morning. Says, I was informed this morning by my agent that I had been terminated by CNN. I am stunned. After 17 years of CNN, I would have thought that Sony management would have had the decency to tell me directly. At no time was I ever given any indication that I would not be able to continue to do the work I've loved at the network. It is clear that there are more larger issues at play. With that said, I want to thank my colleagues and the many teams that I have worked with for an incredible run. They are the most talented journalists in the business, and I wish them all the best of luck. So he's saying that he was fired by CNN.
Wow. And who cares about that? Like, goodbye, good riddance. I can't stand Don Lemon, but
yeah. I don't know that there's a whole lot of tears on the right side.
We're probably as enthusiastic. Can you pull up Trump's statement about Don Lemon? It was pretty funny.
Sure, I'll find it. Sure.
Yeah. But I'm reading Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has just announced that he is running against Joe Biden. He said Fox fires Tucker Carlson 5 days after he crossed the red line, acknowledging that TV networks pushed a deadly and ineffective vaccine to please their pharma advisors. Carl's breathtaking, courageous April 19th monologue broke TV's two biggest rules. Tucker told the truth about how greedy pharma advertisers controlled TV news content, and he lambasted ubiquitous newscasters for promoting jabs they knew to be lethal and worthless. For many years, Tucker has had the nation's biggest audience, averaging 3.5 million per night, 10 times the size of CNN. Fox just demonstrated the terrifying power of big pharma. So his take is this is about an April 19th monologue in which Tucker Carlson criticized big pharma.
All right. Do we have that video clip? Scarlett, do you think
we could have it for tonight. Let's
okay, that's a good idea. So yeah, regarding Trump's statement this morning on Don Lemon's firing, good news, the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon, has finally been fired from fake news CNN. My only question is, what took them so long? Trump posted on True Social.
Yeah. So
no surprise.
He didn't comment on Tucker, but he did on Don Lemon. Right now, Ron DeSantis is with his lovely wife in Japan, so everyone's expecting some sort of statement from Ron DeSantis when right now he's on a whole different time zone. But then we have Ina saying, "Hey, Ina, Dominion and Fox settlement required this." Yes, that might be what the obvious answer is, that the settlement, which was well over $700 million, it required that, that Tucker Carlson has to apologize maybe on air. That's a rumor that I read from Justin Hart. Justin Hart on Twitter had said that he had heard that Tucker was told he's going to have to apologize on air, and perhaps he quit. Or did that settlement require something of Tucker Carlson that Fox News knew he would never do?
But correct me if I'm wrong, Tucker Carlson was not the most outspoken person on Dominion. I mean, he seemed to be the least. So, I would think Sean Hannity, some of the other guests would have been more on the hook for having to apologize. So
I don't think it's related to Dominion. That's it. We oddly enough, I'm not sure that's my opinion because of all the hosts, and I was watching religiously during this time. Tucker Carlson was the least he was the most skeptical of the Kraken, and he never once had Sidney Powell on. He did not have her on, whereas all the other Fox primetime, they had her on.
Yeah. I actually remember way back then, believe it or not, I can remember him questioning Sidney Powell right at the beginning. After even a couple days, Sidney Powell was coming on, wait for the Kraken or whatever. The big news is coming. We have the evidence. And I remember specifically Tucker saying, where is it? Waiting for the evidence. We haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So he was one of the first ones that was skeptical of her, I think.
Yeah, he wouldn't. He was, I remember that an episode where she was scheduled to come on the air and he refused to bring her on because she did not have the evidence. He didn't think she had the evidence to back the claim. That's how I recall it anyways. And it says Tucker refused to apologize and stood his moral ground. That's something that's going on. That could be true. I wonder though if, because Tucker Carlson was their biggest star, he also was their biggest liability. A lot of sponsors withheld their sponsorship because of Tucker Carlson. Of any personality on Fox News, he is the most outspoken on the culture wars and against the vaccine. I think he has been the most honest about the vaccine. So I'm of the impression this might be more about big pharma and Pfizer than it is about Dominion. I think that, I mean, from what I have read, big pharma, they are huge investors into news, and they keep a lot of news organizations afloat with their money. And I think Robert Kennedy actually might have a good point. I also think that delving into these culture wars, the cancel culture is, the force is strong with the woke when it comes to canceling, and they are overjoyed. They think they won. You know what this reminds me of, Jim? This reminds me of C.S. Lewis. This reminds me when they thought they killed Aslan. When they and they all celebrated, celebrated the death of Aslan, like they had his head, they thought they won. And foolishly, they only made him stronger. They only made God stronger, because this is all, the whole story was analogous to the story of Christ. I think that they just made Tucker Carlson stronger. He's now unleashed. Look at Megyn Kelly. Who would have knew? I mean, she's like, she's rebranded herself. She's completely on her own. She's not with Daily Wire. She's not with Blaze. And her podcast is, I watch it religiously. I think she's great. She's now untethered. She can say whatever she wants to say.
Yeah.
I think Tucker has more star power than Megyn Kelly, and he could go off on his own. I'm sure Daily Wire or the Blaze would love to have him, and they would just let him do whatever he wants. So, I mean, I think this is going to be the beginning of Tucker Carlson's career, and he gets to do things the way he wants to, not the end. This is probably the beginning.
Yeah. And you have to wonder if this is not the beginning of the end of Fox News, although some would argue that end has started before this. And I haven't checked stock quotes today, but according to Douglas here, he says Fox News has lost 3.5% today alone. So you have to imagine this is going to have a pretty devastating effect on the company in whole. Tucker Carlson's been with Fox News, I believe, since 2016. So 7 years, and he's made a name for himself. Don Lemon has been with the network for 17 years. Wow. 6 months as anchor of CNN This Morning. I never watched it, so I had to look that up. But, these are people that have been at these networks for a long time.
Don Lemon wasn't always quite so radical. Actually, I've seen clips of him. I never watched him, but I've seen clips of his earlier work where he was somewhat sane. He suffered from Trump derangement syndrome like no other. He went insane. He and Rachel Maddow are like Looney Tunes. But his recent, I mean, his comment about the presidential candidate was, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, it's slipping my mind. But the former governor of North Carolina, who is it? Somebody put it in there because my brain is stopped for a second. But his comment that she was over her prime because she's in her late 40s was ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about Nikki Haley?
Nikki Haley, yes,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Nikki Haley's great. Sorry that I just temporarily forgot her name. But Nikki Haley, he just made a comment about Nikki Haley, Don Lemon, saying that a woman in her 40s is past her prime.
Right.
Had him into a lot of trouble. But
Again, the sexist attacks on her and conservative women are shocking. I mean, can you imagine that being said about a man? Oh, a conservative male or liberal male is in his 40s. He's past his prime. I mean, it's obnoxious. You're just starting in your 40s and 50s to become wise. And that's really when we should be entering politics, in my opinion.
So I do think that, one of my friends made a comment, welcome to the uniparty. The fact that Don Lemon's gone, Tucker Carlson's gone, Tom Bongino's gone. I think there was some other executives at CNN that have lost their jobs as well. And kind of interesting, just very interesting. Did CNN do this because maybe they saw the opportunity to fire Don Lemon, and everyone's so upset about Tucker Carlson on our end, and the left are so happy that maybe firing Don would go under the radar? But I think it's weird. I definitely think it's weird.
So who out there thinks that this was just pure coincidence that both were fired at almost the exact same time? And who thinks that there's some kind of underlying conspiracy, for lack of a better word? I really struggle with it. I don't believe in coincidences. So I don't know what to make of these happening at the exact same time.
I think it's a very strange coincidence.
Yeah.
And what can you say? I also, when we talk about this later tonight, there's some clips from Tucker Carlson gave a speech, a monologue at this event at Heritage. It's about 26 minutes long, and it's fabulous. I listened to it this morning. I had heard clips of it all weekend, but I sat down and listened to it this morning, and it was quintessential Tucker Carlson. But he's been very honest lately. I think a little bit. I also feel I had been watching his interview. He just had an interview with Russell Brand that was really good, where I feel he's kind of was opening up more and just dropping a lot more truth bombs and just being not unusually. It's usual for him to be truthful, but really truthful and kind of open about himself and his own sort of, I don't know, inadequacies and the things that have happened to him in his life. And I feel like now this is foreshadowing that maybe he knew that he was not long for Fox News. And he was sort of just kind of, I'm just going to tell truth like I've never done it before.
Well, and that's what we need in this country, and that's what conservative media needs, is someone that just tells the truth. And Wisconsin right now, that's been our number one goal, and that's the goal of this podcast. We just want to get the facts out there, and I have no doubt that Tucker's going to land on his feet better and stronger than ever.
Yes, I do, and I think the great thing about Tucker Carlson is he often would say he's not a Republican, that he. Whereas with Sean Hannity, that he is cheerleading for the Republican Party, and That's pretty obvious. And, it's not that I don't dislike Sean Hannity. It's just the truth. He will toe the line for the Republican Party. Tucker Carlson doesn't. I think he tells the truth as much as possible. And I think maybe those texts revealed through the Dominion lawsuit that he was there was some honesty there where I don't know if I believe this. He said the way he really felt about some politicians. I think maybe that's why Trump isn't commenting on Tucker, because Tucker had revealed in some text that he had said that he wasn't a big fan of Trump. And maybe so that's why Trump isn't necessarily going to express his sadness about Tucker Carlson. But I am sad. I love the fact that he is his own person. And I would say we'll miss him, but he will be back. He won't be on television. I don't think he's going to be on television. He's going to be doing what we're doing right now. He's going to be in the podcast world.
Yeah.
He will not, except for maybe as a guest, but I don't know who will have him on as a guest, maybe on Newsmax. But Fox News certainly isn't going to have him on as a guest, and I would doubt CNN or MSNBC. So he's done with primetime television. I think that's the end for primetime television, and now he will be in the podcasting world. I hope that doesn't limit his reach. I am concerned about what's happening in YouTube. YouTube is censoring. They're sort of on the warpath right now, talking about some of the transgender issues. That's sort of the new hot button, whereas a couple years ago it was about the vaccine, actually just last year. So free speech is under fire, and we need to be aware and vigilant.
I agree with you. Do you think any chance Tucker goes to Newsmax, or you think that's completely not likely? He's on his own.
No.
What about partnering up with Megyn Kelly? That would be a heck of a podcast, the two of them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I would imagine could he form a company with her?
Yeah.
I don't know. Could joining Daily Wire or The Blaze would be pretty easy for him. Is he going to try and do something on his own? I mean, he did start the Daily Caller and he sold it. So he's already created a media company. The Daily Caller was his brainchild, and he sold it, made a profit off of that. So will he do something on his own? He lives in Maine. He lives a simple life. He doesn't even have televisions in his home. His Twitter feed, that's what his handlers do. He'll notoriously say he doesn't read Twitter. He reads what his assistants show him. He's kind of a recluse, but I think we've not heard the last from him, and it'll be interesting to see what he can say. I'm sure there will be very little he can say about what happened with Fox. I'm sure that will be tied up in legalese.
Probably. Okay. Well, this is what we want. We wanted to do a quick. You have anything else you want to add?
No. I think we can talk.
All right. I think we're good. We wanted just to jump in and give kind of this breaking news. And again, I think we're going to do something tonight at 8 p.m. with Jessica, and maybe we'll have a little more information by then. I was scanning Twitter as you were talking. I haven't seen Trump put out any statement yet regarding Tucker's leaving. Yeah, I agree with you. Conservatives need a new platform and/or their own network. Maybe Musk step up. Is this Ed? Ed, are you the Facebook user? You always come over as Ed. It'd be nice to know if that was you, because maybe you want to jump in tonight with us and give your thoughts on this.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that's great.
If that's Ed, he's right. He has a place in Florida and he has a place in Maine, and I have read that he's been in Florida as well.
Yeah.
So, it'll be interesting to see what happens. It'll be interesting to see how long it will take before we hear something from him. And I know I'm attending an event in July where he is one of the keynote speakers. So he will be doing speaking engagements. I doubt he's not going to be able to talk about this, but what his future will be. Yeah, it would be interesting to have a news network that was considered extremely independent, like news, something that maybe moderates, independents, conservatives, Democrats, they could all trust. That would be an interesting concept, to have something that really strives to put the news out sort of uncensored, unfiltered.
Right.
That would be an interesting concept, having a diverse group, having truly conservative talk show hours, and also, more to the left talk show hours, and trying to combine it all into one. That would be an interesting concept.
Very good. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us. And then I think we'll see you again tonight at 8 p.m.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.